I wanted the family to be aware of it. Um, and I wanted the family to be up on it so that we can be the best that we can be, how we can be for our longevity. All right. So we got another one here. And for the AAT report. And this one is brain eating amoeba death traced to a splash pad at a country club. Okay. So let me put this up and let me read a little bit from it. And if you want to jump in and say, have you heard of this story? Do you think the story is important? Do you think this story is vital? Because I do, because our lives have changed since the pandemic. And um we need to, act accordingly, not acting like, just because the pandemic is over and just because things are just a bit different and things are back to normal, that we don't have to. Well, things will never be back to normal, but back to a semblance of normalcy, right? Let's just get to it. So, out of the Kansas City Star, brain eating amoeba traced to splash pad at country club, Arkansas, officials say. Now, I was at Arkansas with my daughter for a pageant. Now, I didn't go to a gym, but I did go to a really nice community service center where, a college basketball team that was in Arkansas was actually hooping. They did an exhibition game at this particular, community center, and that joint was packed. So, and this was right around the COVID period. But let's read. An Arkansas resident is dead after being infected by a brain eating amoeba traced to a country club's splash pad, right? The Arkansas Department of Health said that a Department of Health said revealed that a person was infected with Naegleria, Naegleria fowlery at the country club of Little Rock Splash Pad, right? So that means, perhaps the area where they allow you to shower before you get into a pool, or maybe even the area where they allow you to wash after you're finished working out or after you get out of a pool. And then that splash pad, or the thing that they actually have people to stand on for health reasons, right? Was actually the thing that was infected, and that person had a cut in their brain, and then the water splashed or what have you, and that particular bacteria got into the cut in their brain. Health department did not identify the person who died, but Clark reported the victim was a child. Officials said that the country club closed its splash pad and had been cooperative with the health department. There's no risk to the public, as infection cannot spread from person to person. Only 3 people get infected annually with the Nigeria fowlery in the United States, health department said, adding that it was the first case in Arkansas since 2013. The amoeba travels up the nose. Interesting. Um, so this is a way that it infects people, right? It says the amoeba or the bacteria travels up the nose to the brain, where it destroys the brain tissue and causes devastating infections to someone from the CDC. Now let's get to it, man. What the block is going on with this? Now, I don't necessarily think that, you know, since COVID, since the pandemic, everybody going into you know, a gym, a community center, any to work out or be a part of whatever, mass based activities are going on, should always have foot covering, hand covering, and if need be, nose and mouth covering. Now, I know they got the volatile organic compound, so if the air is somewhat, decent, of course, you got to ask these questions. But I believe that gloves and shoes, flip flops in the locker room, flip flops in the shower, all those things are a necessity. That should just be part of your travel bag. Like, Why would you even take a chance with, live bacteria or whatever it is on whatever gym equipment you're using? And please, before you use the gym equipment and after you use the gym equipment, just wipe it down, man. And to tell you the truth, I don't even shower in the gym. I wait till I get home to do that. I don't do that. That's never been my thing. Some people do, and I understand people may want to shower and get the chlorine off of you because chlorine dries the skin, and some people have sensitive skin issues. I get it, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself at all times. You want to make sure you have gloves on your hands, and you want to make sure that you have footwear on your feet, flip flops, slides, whatever it is, while you're in a locker room. Those areas are germ fest. They don't wipe those areas down or clean them well enough and at a fast enough rate for it to be effective enough to take those type of chances. You know what I mean? So, you know, I love my people. I want to see y'all live. I want to see y'all succeed. Um, please take those precautions when you are out and about and as you are doing your thing. Please take those precautions so you could be safe and progressive within it. So that's that particular one. Um, and we got one more that we're gonna do for the AAT report. Um, let's see, 1,000, and it's this one here. Okay. Um, let me move the particular header or the third, the lower third, and thousands of people reportedly signing up or lining up to have a portion of their skull removed and one of Elon Musk's brain chips implanted. Let me know, man. Are you one of the thousands that are locked up for this? You know, give me a second, family, to pull this up. There we go. We got it. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna read a little bit of it. We're gonna get into it. If you want to get into it with us and have a higher discussion, jump on there. The link is on the bottom. Um, let's show it again. There we go. StreamYard.com. Oh, let me show it again. StreamYard.com. NQEMVFPGW3. Thanks for the likes. Please like and share and subscribe this. A lot of work and care goes into this particular program because we want you guys to be nice and informed. We want you guys to be well aware of how to arm yourself, protect yourself, and move smartly during these days and times. So let's get to it. Let's read a little bit of this article byline, and then let's see what's popping. Thousands of people are interested in becoming Neuralink patients, says a Bloomberg report. You can find this on the Insider, the Financial Insider. That's where you can find this article. Elon Musk startup received FDA approval this year to start human trials. We're going to get to the FDA in a minute, right? The brain chip startup hopes to implant a device that acts like a Fitbit for your skull. What in the world? Let's find out how this Fitbit would act. It says the company hopes to eventually make a device that will create a sort of symbiosis between humans and machines. There's that transhumanism again. Go back to some of our old episodes, and will allow people to send messages or play games with their thoughts. The company says it helps people with neurological disorders. Uh-huh. Elon Musk biographer said it would take a couple of hours for the surgeon to perform craniotomy, and then 25 minutes for the robot to insert the device along the extra thin array of about 64 threads in the brain. He said the device, this is Elon Musk talking. Um, the device would replace the portion of the skull that had been removed. So now they're permanently replacing part of your brain. Vance added that the threads were about 1/14th the width of a single strand of human hair. So you know how thin that is. This particular joint is 1/14th that size. So let me see if I have that picture of it. And yeah, I do. Just give me a second. I'll pull it up and let you guys see what this actually looks like. All right, I got it. Here we go. So this is what the Neuralink in your brain would look like, and it would be ultra thin. And I don't know how durable it would be, but you would definitely be a transformer. You would but definitely be a transhuman. See Dr. Love on BitChute. She has a whole series with Stu Peterson on transhumanism. But this is the picture. The chip is designed to sit below the ear, while electrodes are threaded into the brain. Crazy on crazy on crazy. You signing up for this? Like the 1,000 people that came through? Is this going to be on your Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Sunday list to get involved with? You know what I'm saying? You're going to sit in a cold like people did that one Black Friday to watch the unveiling of Harry Potter. Are you going to sit in a cold, freezing your tuchus off to get the Neuralink? Let us know what's popping. Peace, y'all. Peace. We respect you. Peace, peace, brothers and sisters. We will do it. You know what I mean? So we got people from all over watching the show right now. We appreciate you. What in the world does this have to do with us? Well, you heard how this particular Neuralink piece is you'll be able to play games on it. So right away, is it cap? Let us know, man. Do you think this is cap that they're trying to prevent diseases and prevent brain disorders and help the invalid walk, help the paraplegic move? Do you think this is all cap? And is this a different way to, like, how you get the VR goggles? Is this a different way to expose a different entertainment capacity? What do you think? Let us know. Put it in the chat. We got a lot of people popping on many, many channels watching the show right now. Let us know what you think. Do you think this is a money move, or do you think this is a move to improve? Is this a tech move to improve the health and wealth of overall people? What's your thought, man? Let us know. Let us know where you at with it. Personally, you know, you know, this is like some cerebral stuff, like X-Men. Anybody remember the X-Men? And Professor X will go into that big, machine and put the cap with the diodes on, and he use his ability to read minds to puppeteer the world. You know what I'm saying? And he is an omega level mutant because with that machine he could tap into everybody's brain data, right? And what's interesting is that you know the WEF, um, the WEF cat. What's the guy's name from WEF? Why am I drawing a blank now? But he made a comment about um how data is the new frontier. Data is worth more than gold during this time period. Data is the new gold. So if you can control data, you can control Klaus Schwab. Thank you. There you go. Thank you at home on Mob Crush. Thank you for updating me on that. Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab said data is, worth more than gold. And then you have 1,000 people lining up to be crash test dummies for Neuralink. And is Neuralink going to have some sort of capacity to download your thoughts, your wishes, your desires, your feelings, your emotions, everything that you go on, everything that you go through? And is that going to have the ability to sell you things and, you know, discriminate against you in many ways? What are the impacts that this is going to happen? And are our people going to trade in their privacy? Are they going to let people into their headspace simply for entertainment and enjoyment and give away their voluntary consent that way? Put it in the chat. Let us know where you're at with this particular article. I thought it was really, really interesting. Um, and I thought it was really a riveting piece of information that people need to know about. Put it in there if you'd like to be a volunteer for that and why. What would what would spark you to be a volunteer to have a piece of your skull removed and a brain chip implanted? Um, would you do it for the entertainment? Would you do it for the medical reasons? And is there going to be an integrity with this medical reason? Along the lines of, like, let's say, how there might be like a shootout in the hood, a shootout in Chicago, a shootout in New York or Cali, and then somebody becomes paraplegic, and now that person actually has a chance to regain some motor function in their lower body, in their arms, and all because Neuralink gave them that opportunity. Is it worth the other side of it, which is compromising your privacy and compromising your well-being? And are you going to give your voluntary consent for that? But let's get into the last one, man. Medicare coverage solidified rewalk personal exoskeleton. Now, I think I did this before, but I'm not sure. So I want to pull it up and read it. And I think it's profound because this is where the future of health and healthcare is kind of going. And I want to read it to you a little bit, and then I'll even share my screen to see if we can, pop this thing and where it can go. So let's see. Do I have it here? All right, I gotta look it up. Okay. Um, Medicaid. Bear with me, family. I'm just gonna pop this up. Medicaid exoskeleton. Okay, there we go. Let's see. There we go. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Oh, let me crack my screen. Let me share my screen so you guys can see this because this is profound. Because we got a lot of the boomers that are around right now, and all of the boomers are at that age where they're gonna be sickly and they're gonna start losing their ability to be mobile and things like that. And something like this would help them. So here's my screen. Let me see. Let me know at home if you can see this. Okay, great. I'm glad you can see it. So let's get into it. The preliminary payment termination follows rule change made by CMS to include exoskeletons in the brace benefit category, right? So let's say, Big Auntie, right, loses her limb to diabetes. Will she be allowed? Is Medicaid going to allow her to use her Medicaid to order one of these exoskeletons so that she can walk and her gait can be assisted? Would y'all be down for that? Let me read a little bit about it, okay? The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services preliminary payment determination of 94K for Rewalk's personal prosthetic exoskeleton. The price comes as the agency included a device on the agenda for the upcoming healthcare coding system in November 29th. The news comes hot on the heels of the exoskeleton's inclusion within the brace benefit category for reimbursement. So, in other words, if you need this service, if you're paraplegic or you come down with some sort of affliction, if you have to get that knee scope that and that knee pain, jacks you up, then you might want to consider this, right? Um, It says that you have to do it under the, what is it called? Brace benefit category. Thank you. Yeah, it's a brace benefit category. The CMS reached the payment determination through a gap fill process necessary for devices that incorporate new technology that cannot be described by existing codes. Finally, a payment determination is expected in early 2024 as an effective date. It says that the Rewalk's exoskeleton received U.S. Food and Drug Administration um, clearance for use on stairs and curbs. Okay. This made it the first personal exoskeleton in the country to receive FDA support for this kind of use. This device has been made available some years to patients with paralysis in Europe as early as 2012. Let us know, man. How y'all? What y'all feel about this, man? How y'all feel? What y'all feel? Um, what do you think? Do is Medicaid do you want to make Medicaid something that you use for something like this? And then I don't know if you guys are hip though, but Medicaid is recouping the money that it gives people in benefit when the person transfers their estate after passing. So this money isn't something that is, you know, it's not, it's a loan. It's a glorified loan. And if you have a device that costs 95K, you best believe they coming for that repayment. You know what I'm saying? Now this can be now can people afford the 90K? That's like a refi on a house. Are people going to be refining their house to get involved with something like this? This is not only is it a breakthrough, but you have to understand the financial ramifications of what this is. They can't even get Cash App right. How are they going to get this right on the financial and fiduciary scale so that it's fair for all people and all people can get involved with it? Now, they said that the FDA, in a couple of the articles, they mentioned the FDA. So I want to get into the FDA right now. FDA employees who helped approve spiked vaccine um, left agency to work for Moderna. Hustle anyone? Can anyone? Hello, boy and girls. Can you say hustle? Wow. People who work at the FDA approved this Moderna jab and then went to work for them probably for 5 to 6 or 7 figures a pop. Good looking out. Thanks for hooking us up with this approval. Now you go give me two incomes, right? I got my income from FDA or my pension from the FDA, and now I also have um your job that you're giving me as an employee of Moderna. Interesting, right? And then of course Moderna is at war with Pfizer over the patent of the vax, right? And then all of this by which is patented by the NIH. Go look it up. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. It's actually on their website that they're patented by the NIH. And I'll read you a little bit from the article. So this is from the Defender. 2 U.S. Food and Drug Administration medical officers involved with the agency's decision in 2022 to license the Moderna Spike Vax um, for COVID immediately took jobs with Moderna after they left the FDA. A new investigation by the BMJ revealed. Wow. It almost seems like every governmental agency or organization has some part of it on the take. Crazy. Let's continue. The reporter comes just months after the UK's former deputy chief medical officer, who made the governmental contract decisions about the company's 19 vax, um, joined Moderna as a senior medical consultant. So there goes that six figures, right? Um, as was told to the defender, quote, that the revolving door is of course a standard of Washington stories, but this case feels particularly egregious. It says one of the people whose name is Dr. Duran Fink, MD, served as the agency's senior leadership team for the vid 19 vax review and policy activities, and took part in the ultimate decision to license the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Wow. And then they get to get the FDA cushy uh severance package and retirement, and now they're on to the FDA to do the same thing, earning a nice fake juicy check. How y'all feel about that, man? And then how do y'all feel about the motivation or the impetus on approving such a thing with the knowledge that it could be tainted, or the integrity of what they approved could be jacked up? Of course, because they have, um, they're biased. Because why? Because they got that bread on the line. You know what I'm saying? They got that pension from the FDA, and now they got the new setup with um, Moderna and probably even Pfizer. Let's give them a golden parachute for helping us execute what we needed to execute during that time period where when the world was in peril. And that's the reason that we do the AAT report. Healthy, wealthier, and wiser for the rest of the century. Cell power at hand. Don't forget about colloidal silver. That's awesome. And remember to, utilize all your vitamins and minerals daily in your diet to increase your cellular power. This has been the AAT report on the Real HD show. We love y'all, man. Y'all come through and partake in what we doing. Y'all like, share, and subscribe these particular segments. I'm giving y'all even permission to cut these segments up into shorts if you want to, and spread them all over the place. Let these people know where to come. Where is their forum for decorum and black exploring? It's right here on the Real HD show. You know what I'm saying? A higher discussion. And we want to have a higher discussion with you, man. But we're reaching that pinnacle, man, and we got to be here and describe what we're here for tonight. You know what I mean? And you guys saw the thumbnail. Well, at least I hope you did. I hope you saw the thumbnail. And the thumbnail was this: that three-card Monty, man. Who is hiding the hand? All these conflicts overseas, all of the wars, all of the military conflicts. Taiwan is in play for military conflict. Of course, Gaza and Hamas and Iran and United States are in play for military conflict. The Ukraine and Russia are definitely in play for military conflict. What's it all about? Especially in the Gaza Strip, which is everybody going crazy. Especially if you watched the last episode and you found out that there is a bill being, adjudicated in Congress right now in the House about anti-Semitism. So now they want to fine and jail people over what they perceive to be anti-Semitism. And I think that's ridiculous, because what if you just don't like somebody that's Jewish? What if somebody that's Jewish is just a butthole? You don't have the right to express yourself about that person without them crying anti-Semitism? Find that real interesting, man. We entering creepy territory, man. But let's get into it, man, because there are documents, leaked documents, fuels concerns is about Israel's plans to push Palestine from Gaza into Egypt, man. Listen, man, this is crazy. And this really shows what's really popping over there, man. So they would go on MSNBC, they would go on all the major media news outlets and cry a river about how much Hamas has hurt them with the attack. Let me say leaked documents. Okay, there we go. I was just trying to find an article so we can jump into it, family. So leaked documents fuels concern. Israel plans to push Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt. Right. So it says um, the Israeli government suggested that the mass relocation of the 2.3 million people to Egypt's Sinai Peninsula is fueling concerns about possible ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. The leaked document, first reported by the Israeli media, wow, the Israeli media leaked this document. Very interesting. Was compiled by an Israeli government research agency known as the Intelligence Ministry in October, 6 days after Hamas led the deadly attacks on Israel. And the Israeli government declared war against the Palestine militant group, which controls the Gaza. Although not a binding policy, it's deepened the long-standing Egypt fears that Israel wants to make Gaza into Egypt's problem and revive Palestinian memories of displacement of hundreds of thousands of people who fled or were forced from their homes during the fight surrounding Israel's creation in 1948, where Palestinians refer to the Inkaba, or the Nakba, excuse me, the Arabic word for catastrophe. And of course, those into the intisadas, which were the wars in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, right? It said that the mass displacement of Palestinians would be tantamount to declaring a new war. Wow. And that's what's happening over there because I think the death tolls are right around 20,000 people over there. You know what I'm saying? And if you watch the show, you've known some insider information about the histrionics of that area, King Bulin Kagan, and how his assimilation to the Judaic religion and the mass exodus of Rus Kiev, um, shooting Jews all over Europe, and then their eventual touchdown into Jerusalem, the Gaza, and then of course the 1948 um, resolution to make Israel a country state. Let us know what you think about this, man. Documents leaked to show that they wanted to push Palestinians from Gaza into Egypt. That's interesting. So if that would be the equivalent of um, pushing the whole state of Arkansas into Oklahoma, and all of a sudden that's just supposed to be okay with the Oklahomans, right? Or the similar way that they're letting thousands and thousands of people into immigrants, right? Into and they're busing them into New York, all the major cities all across the United States. And those people who are residents of those areas are just supposed to suck it up, buttercup, and deal with it, right? But let's find out a little something else that's going on with this because there's deeper things happening with this, you know, the war's end game, right? Because that's what we're here for. And it's like a game of three card Monte. The world thinks it's all about the um, attack from Hamas. Other people are crying anti Semitism. And then the other people, and then the other victimless plight that we're supposed to just be, teary eyed and super sympathetic to would be um, the Christendom angle of it all. Because, you know, the Christian religion and the Jewish religion are in the trace of the Abrahamic religions, right? So it's automatically supposed to be 10 toes down to, be involved with this and not even ask no questions. But there's a lot of craziness going on over there in the Gaza, in Israel, in Palestine. And one of them is this. And thank brother Mazi for who's a regular on the show. He sent me this article. So this is a Mazi Blacktastic take. An alternative to the Suez Canal is central to Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. Now, this is an op-ed, but I found it real interesting, man. So we're gonna read a little bit of it. You know what I mean? And let's get to it a little bit. And let me know what you guys think of this, because I have some supporting evidence that will have us thinking about some really interesting parts of this and how it can be applicable um, to what's going on right now. And it's definitely going to show what the end game of this whole war conflict and possibly all of the war conflicts in that area, right? So let's get to it. Um, I hate conspiracy theories. This is You can find this in the Middle East Monitor. That's the name of the magazine online that this is in, and it's written by a woman named Yvonne Ridley. She says, I hate conspiracy theories. They degrade my profession as a journalist and incite fear. It says, naturally, there has been all sorts of speculation and rumor around the war in Gaza and the October 7th surprise Hamas attack on the occupation state. It says, so the question we're asking, why is there such a catastrophic intelligence failure, which meant that the attack caught by the Israeli military sleeping on the job? So she's another one of people who just can't understand how one of the most advanced militaries and police forces on the planet, and we went through that when we talked about G4S, right? SOAR was sleeping on the job and had these people come through in hang gliders, bomb, terrorize, and kill people. And if with military drills, they can dispatch in less than 30 seconds. Um, it says Israel's military has earned itself a reputation of being amongst the finest intelligence gatherers and infiltrators in the world. And yet, October 7th saw Hamas fighters breach security fences, invade with paragliders without a challenge. Right? So, yeah, so it says so later on in the article it says follow the money. And that's how, after being nudged and pointed in various directions with annoyingly vague clues, I found myself poring over a network of paper trails that led to national archives where British secrets lie unseen for 30 years, and in some cases much longer. Um, it says this particular paper chase took me to the origins of the Suez Canal in 1869, 140 years ago today. Whenever this was written, this was written on is there a date? November 5th. Okay. Um, so it says Egypt owns and controls the canal now, but it was once owned by French investors who had held the canals company stock with Egypt's ruler. It says in 1875, cash crisis forced Said's successor to sell the shares to Britain. The Suez Canal Company operated the canal until Egypt's president Nasser tore up the concession in 1956 and transferred the canal's operation to the state-owned Suez Canal Authority. There then followed the canal crisis, also known as the Arab-Israeli War. And this is what is October 7th, the bombing that Hamas did, have to do with 2023? Well, it so happens that Gaza is slap bang in the middle of the proposed path of a second major canal in the region. The Gaza is being bombarded to oblivion. The canal would rival Egypt's Suez Canal, causing a major financial threat to the country and its major trade artery. That means that Egypt is the one that's benefiting right now from the Suez Canal. But if there's a second canal put in there named after um what is his name? Ben Gurion, right? It's called the Ben Gurion Canal Project. And the Ben Gurion was the leader of Israel who led them to um, Israel, Jerusalem, Gaza, as it stands right now. So they're naming that canal after him, the Ben Gurion Canal Project. Yes, Tel Aviv already has a name for the canal, which was proposed back in the 60s, and would connect the Gulf of Aqaba on the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, and would be named after its prime minister of Israel. That's the Ben Gurion cat, right? Of course, if you know anything about Hebrews and Israel's, Ben is a very popular name. It says if this goes ahead, this new canal will be almost one third longer than the Suez Canal at 292 kilometers and an estimated cost of almost 55 billion. Whoever controls the canal will have power and influence over the global supply routes of oil, grain, and shipping. Let me read that again. This is going to cost about 55 billion. The Suez Canal is going to be about 292 kilometers, and whoever controls the canal has hegemony power over the global trading routes for oil, grain, and shipping. With the Gaza raised to the ground, it would enable the canal planters to literally cut corners and reduce costs by diverting the canal straight through the middle of the territory. Out of control. So let's go with what we know. We know that the Russian pipeline was bombed, right, by the United States. We know this. And we also know that we know that the United States is backing Russia. I mean, the United States is backing the Ukraine. And we also know that the United States is backing Israel with money and weapons. So when this new super trade structure is eventually and ultimately completed, who do you think is going to get a vast piece of the oil, the money, and the commerce that comes out of that area? If you guessed it, ding, 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 the U.S. Man, that U.S., man. Puppeteers, I tell you, man. Let us know what you think of this, man. Um, the ground invasion of the Gaza, it's been 250,000 tons of bombs that have leveled Israel, more than Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and more than the U.S. bombed the Middle East during its occupation. But the media companies in America and the media talking bobbleheads want you to think and want you to be sympathetic to the cause while these people are doing a jack move. So not only is this imperialism, but this is a jack move because they're trying to jack the Suez Canal from Egypt control. And I think Iran, which basically runs the Middle East, except for like Jordan and Syria. So for the most part, Iran runs the Middle East, especially the areas that can't defend themselves. Um, and does Iran know about this? I'm sure they have gotten wind of things like this and the eventuality of it. And like the Silk Road and like the Mississippi was for the riverboats and the steam engine in the United States, if you dip back into that history, tremendous commerce instrument. You know what I'm saying? Um, it's incredible, man. So this whole thing was a land grab. I said it in earlier episodes, man. Let us know what you think about this, man. Do you think this is a land grab or an ocean grab? You know what I'm saying? Let me show you the map of what this might look like. So it also says the U.S. had a plan in the 1960s to blast an alternative Suez Canal through Israel using 520 nuclear bombs. So that's the Suez Canal as it stands. And then that was the planned Suez Canal that they would, not Suez Canal, but the, what is it called? The Ben Guri Canal as they're planning to make it right now. Now that would have Israel making almost, you know, 19 billion a year. You know what I mean? Um, it's interesting. So let's look at another one. A plan to rejoin the Red Sea with the Mediterranean, an alternative for the Suez Canal. Many decades ago, the Americans proposed to use nuclear weapons to blast a waterway through the Negev Desert, but the plan never progressed. This is why they didn't do it, and why there is some talk about Ben Gurion Canal again, as Israel pushes to destroy Hamas, level Gaza, and move these people from, in an imperialist fashion, move their off their land to into Egypt and just take over the entire Gaza and West Bank itself. What do you think, man? We're bringing this to you. And there's another interesting piece of this. Um, According to some articles, there's not only going to be the, you know, trade route and everything that could be accumulated and the capitalism that can be provided there for Israel, but Israel wants to make the West Bank and the Gaza into smart cities. Um, just like we talked about with Klaus Schwab, and that Oxford people right now in um, London are fighting because they don't want their area turned into a smart city. Hold on, let me put that up and show y'all what I'm talking about, man. Because y'all be thinking I'm lying. Y'all be thinking I'm xenophobic. Y'all be thinking I'm just talking out my hat. Oxford protests 15-minute city. All right, and I'm gonna show my joint. Now this is by Politico, so you go. Don't believe me. Go read the article in Politico. Okay. Um. Yeah, I agree. Let me share my screen. Let me get this off so the people can actually see it. Thanks to everybody that's tuning in right now. I appreciate you, man. So even if you aren't, giving questions and concerns and things like that, you're at least tuning in and you're getting this good information. Please like, share, and subscribe. So this is what's going on in Oxford right now. Don't lock me in my neighborhood. They're saying 15-minute city hysteria sweeps the UK. The academic behind the hit urban planning concept slammed flat earthers spreading like fake news about the livable cities. It says opponents to the 15-minute city plan in Oxford to appear to have confused it with a separate circulation of plan designed to reduce the through traffic within the city. And these are Getty images to support that. Let me see if I can get let me come off of this. I'll share my screen again and see if I can get some images of them protesting in this joint. Oh yeah, here we go. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna share my screen one more again and then show you some of the protest pictures that are being accumulated. Please fight these things, people. Don't let these people just get away with doing folks harm and taking your sovereign citizenship from you. So here's some pictures. So this was in Prospect magazine. This picture you're seeing right here. This one is in Forbes. Let me see if you can see it. Okay, great. I'm glad you can see it. Um, This is in News Flare. Um, you know, here's another one. Um, Stop 15-minute cities. Stop zoning Oxford. These people are really doing it, man. Um, Here's another one. 15-minute city. Were you ever asked stand up? Right. So that's that. And then you saw the boogeyman type of efforts that are going on, because on one hand, or the three car Monty, I should say, efforts that are going on, you want people to feel sorry for you. You want the anti-Semitic Trail of Tears to pop off. You want all these things to be in your favor so that you can, you know, mutilate the area, and kind of be imperialist in the area, creating a brand new canal so that you can rob a traditional uh, people and government of a waterway that they control for their commerce and for their livelihood, and you want to adopt that for the Israeli livelihood. It's crazy, man. So these are things that are popping off, man, and these are getting people's attention. This is getting people's ire. This is getting people's angst and their frustration. And there's not a whole lot of truth telling popping off right now. So we saw how the 15-minute cities in um we saw how they were 15-minute cities, and people are protesting against the 15-minute cities in Oxford, England. And that's a pretty known city. And they're trying to do this in Oxford, England. And we just saw the pictures. And now one of the end game pieces is that they're doing it in the Gaza. Why the Gaza Strip may be a city of the future. Wow. Let's go to it, man. Let's get to it real quick. We'll read a little bit of it. And this was years ago. Let me see. The Gaza. Yeah, I got it. It came out of the Bloomberg. And this was back in, let me pull it up. This was back in 2021. Why Gaza Strip may be the city of the future. Urban life amid the Israel-Palestine conflict is defined by violence, surveillance, and resource scarcity. Condition warns. A new book warns soon may be widespread. Americans turn on the television or glance at their smartphone for the news of the deadly clashes that engulf the Gaza Strip. Many scenes look familiar, streets flooded with protesters engaged in a struggle against highly armed security forces on the streets of a battered, torn looking city. Um, I want to get to the part where they're talking about, because we know about the conflict, we know about the war. Okay, it says that's the promise behind the recent release book, Open Gaza Architects of Hope. Here we go. Right? So you could put imperialism in any old cushy word. You could say teddy bear architects. It's still imperialism. It's still colonialism. It's still taking somebody's land from them. It says an urban geographer who focuses on the Middle East, an essayist, theorist, activist, provocateur. The book presents a vision of a glimpse of an imminent future. Okay, look at the wording: imminent future, where violence, surveillance, resource scarcity, preventional use of extremely compromised built environment are visited one and all. Let's see. The Gaza's book, the territory has been an urban center of Gaza City, is appalled on the study in terms. Michael wanted to go where the others were not there. Eco adaptation by necessity. Okay, so we know that Netanyahu is down with the WEF people, and now we know that all the WEF people. If you looked at the last episode, in the Eco 40 organizations, you know that they are putting while everybody's fighting, they're changing the face of business, and they're penalizing businesses if they're not eco ready. So eco adaptation by necessity. Open Gaza isn't content to just praise ingenuity and resources of the Gazan and allied urbanists, nor is the book interested in depicting Gaza purely as a dystopian prison. Um, okay, so I'm trying to get to the point where they're going to start talking about the construction. Okay, so this is the reason why buzzwords like sustainability and resilience don't mean anything to the average Ghazian, said a Palestinian architect who writes about the territory's everyday buildings. For Western architects, recycling brick may be a way to save carbon and bestow new buildings with a patina of age. But the Gaza, but for Gaza, there was no choice. Um, I'm trying to find a piece of the article where they talk about. Um, okay, so what they're doing in this article, as you continue to read, they're making eco excuses. They're using um, the economy and climate crisis as an excuse to do what their upscale version of imperialism is, right? It says that the Ghazians must demonstrate to keep themselves housed. Western architects have made it a, a polemic to use the materials at hand to design their buildings as bird builders nest. Trying to find that joint. Okay, a different kind of smart city. Sorry about that, people. Here we go. But it's not as though the built environment of Gaza is untouched by technology. In some ways, the digital environment that monitors the city and its residents represents a variation of data sensitive smart city concept, another way that Gaza looks to the future. Mechanism designed to ensure that resources aren't being used for military purposes was agreed upon by Israel and Palestine, but was meant to be temporary. Um, it says Israel in a supervisory role is going to do all this frontier urbanization in the Gaza. Now, in order to do this frontier urbanization, they gotta move the people out of there. They gotta raise the ground with the bombing and the torture and the carnage. Israeli authorities a granular picture of Gaza's built condition and ability to delay Gaza's rebuilding. Um, yeah, what levels? Complex intimacy of the Palestine conflict. Indeed, Israeli companies are selling cybersecurity technology over the world, including the US, where it's used in a new training center in Baltimore. So, see, their effery is reaching all the way over here, too, like I told you about in other, um, you know. Okay, here's something interesting. Quote, there is an extent to which Palestine becomes a sort of crystal ball of this particular future within a very compacted and dense territory. Some of the most striking aspects of this splintered urbanization he describes is the boomerang effect of colonialism or colonization, where techniques to wield control over the restive populations in distant countries eventually come home, where their experiments, even in the Iraq War, to develop domestic surveillance programs, these civilizations and violence and containment. This is interesting. So, what you can gather from this particular article, I'll stop reading now. But what you can tell is that they are going to play a major role in the way that um, even back in 2020 and 2021, before any of this happened, that Israel had plans to play a major role in development of the Gaza. It's in its entirety in the hyper planning and in civil planning and civil engineering of the Gaza and the West Bank, and in the commercial interests of Gaza and the West Bank. So let me do something real quick. I just want to look up um Israel commercial development. Let's just do like we did with the chat GPT piece. Let's just look something up. Commercial development in Gaza future. Let's just put this out there and see what we come up with. And I'll share my screen because we're getting ready to end the show. I'll share my screen so we can see the result. We'll do it together and we'll see what pops up from this. What are they talking about? Um, all right, let me share my screen. Uh, yeah, I'm just doing a quick Google search, nothing crazy. It says Israel four unpalatable options for Gaza's long-term future. Um, there you go. So here's one here. It says Israel. Okay, you where I'm at. Okay, good. This is Israel and the U.S. and Israel way of future for Gaza without Hamas. Look at that. So you do the knowledge to these things, man. What does Israel want for the future of Gaza? Look, it says Gaza should develop like Hong Kong or Singapore, industry and a focus on international trade. Look, man, look, this is just a quick snapshot Google search on us on a subject matter, man. This is crazy. What does Israel have for Gaza's future? Crazy, man. Okay, here's something. Massive surge in buying Israel bonds. Let me see if you saw the change. Yeah. So it says massive surge in buying Israel bonds and buying Israel bonds from the United States. $1 billion in Israel bonds has been purchased in the United States since the Hamas attack. State, cities, and small investors are behind the spike in sales. Our security and economy will come out stronger. Israel bond CEO. So why is everybody buying Israel bonds all of a sudden? Because they know that economy is about to boom once they get control of the Gaza, once they get control of the Suez, and once they get control of the economic development in that area. And then, of course, the United States, Gaza, NATO, WEF, whoever is down, everybody will be getting their piece. You know what I mean? How about the international land hustle? Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a hand. But we here to grant awareness. We are here to, you know, put you guys in a state of the know instead of the dodo, like the dodo bird, right? The dodo bird, right? And we are just about at the end of our broadcast for this evening. Again, I'm not in my regular digs. My studio is going through a renovation. So I had to come to a place where I could just rock out and do my thing. You know what I mean? Trying to be very, very considerate of those who are around me and also what I am talking about. And join us Wednesday when we will be going through a lot of articles and a lot of knowledge and information and awareness that can leave you fearless in the rest of the 21st century. So we're going to say peace and walk with power and join us Wednesday when we rock out. Because that's what the Real HD show is all about. You know what I mean? We are prime time with a purpose. It's your voice, your victory. Join us next time. Jump in here so we can all have a higher discussion. Peace, like, share, subscribe, and walk with power. We out. Love on each other. All right. We gone.